The MMA Junkie Twitter mailbag is back in your life. I'm here to host it for the first time. Excited to do it. Thank you to everybody that sent in the questions, but enough wasting time, enough talking. Let's dive right into it. And the first question that we have asked this week from Carlos Martinez is, if Ferguson wins, will Uncle Dana Bret Hart him and screw him out of the Khabib fight in favor of Conor? I mean, there's a good possibility of that. We saw it with Dana's Ask Me Anything Reddit that he did earlier this week, where he said that the number one rematch that he hopes to see is McGregor versus Khabib. And additionally, he said that he's not too thrilled about the idea of making Khabib versus Tony for a fifth time. He said he doesn't think there's a very high likelihood of that happening. So if that's any indication, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC tries to pull something where McGregor sidesteps Ferguson as the next one to take on Khabib for the title. Second question coming from Dr. Peter Boggs, who asked 3 questions. I'm just going to choose one. I'm going to choose, who are the champions on January 1st, 2021? So going over the champions, it's really hard for me to pick against any of them. You know, they're the dominant fighters out there right now, and it's kind of a cop-out answer in that regard. But there are 2 that I think have the biggest likelihood of losing their belt. And I think that comes in the welterweight division and the light heavyweight division. I think Kamaru Usman and Jon Jones are excellent, supreme fighters, no doubt about it. But I think that they also have the stiffest tests coming up for them, at least the ones that we, the immediate tests, the ones that we know. So Jon Jones, if he fights Dominic Reyes again, I personally scored that fight for Reyes, and man, who's to say that Reyes can't even look better next fight? I know that could be said the same way about Jones, but I think that that's a stiff test. And then the other one, Kamaru Usman, and Jorge Masvidal is on a roll right now. And I could see that being a good stylistic matchup for him too. So those are the 2 that kind of, I think that champions that could change, the championship belt could change hands come 2021. Third question, Dr. Elements of Medical asks, if Dana and Scott did a job swap and could each take 2 fighters with them, who do you think they would take and why? So for me, I think Dana White's is a pretty easy, 2 choices there. I think you got Conor McGregor is an easy layup, and then Jon Jones is the other one. Those are the 2 guys that make the most money right now. So those are the 2 guys that I think that Dana would bring in, because hey, let's face it, the UFC is a money machine. That's what they like to do, is base their decisions around money. We've seen it with matchmaking, so that would be no surprise there. And then for Scott, I mean, it's tough to say, because obviously Bellator has some draws like Fedor, and other guys that are a little over the hill, and then they've also got their fighters that are maybe a little less of a draw, but they're also very legitimate. So I'm going to go with Douglas Lima and Patricio Pitbull, 2 homegrown guys that have proven their worth and are thought to be some of the best fighters in the world, regardless of weight of promotion. So those would be the 2 picks that I think Scott would bring, and that's a really good question. The fourth question that I picked is, I had to get some Contender Series stuff on here, but Rot asks, any word on the Asian version of the Contender Series? And to be honest with you, I haven't heard many updates. That was supposed to take place a few months ago, and it got pushed off. And then obviously with the Wuhan virus coming through, it was pushed off till April. And it's supposed to be held at the UFC PI in China. I think it's on the back burner right now. That's the indication that I'm getting. And to provide you with a little bit more information about Contender Series in general, I'll throw in this tidbit that the American version is on hold. They don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's kind of up in the air right now, but it seems like they're going to have to make a decision soon, because those fighters are in limbo. The fifth and final question comes from JRT Entertains. Do you think the UFC has backup fighters for events still? I don't think right now they do, considering they only have 3 events on their radar. They got 2 more that they're starting to plan preliminary with the May 23rd event, which is, some people are saying it's Jacksonville. I'm hearing that's not necessarily set in stone yet. And then you've also got June 6th, which is up in the air as well. We don't know where that location is going to take place. So really, they only have 3 planned events right now. And I think, maybe going forward, they'll try to re-implement the backup fighters. But for now, there's none of them on. There's none on tap for these upcoming events. This is all last second. These bookings are coming fast and furious. There's a lot of phone calls being made, so they got to get a main event first before they start picking backup fighters. But again, I appreciate everybody that's sending questions. We'll have to do this again sometime. This was fun, and make sure to send in your questions next week to whoever hosts.